Because if we still don't have anything after breakfast, it's going to be some moldy food in the back of the nearly empty pantry. And no Kentucky. Italian cuisine does not include me making you a pizza. Go climb a tree. A door slams shut. Chase bursts out laughing. Really got all his ducks in a row, that one. Doesn't he just be happy one of us knows how to cook? Amar pointed out. Otherwise, we'd have to order takeout all the time, that would be disastrous. Who'd be on cleaning duty then? Kentucky drolls. Have you all forgotten? Dutch slurs. I can cook too, you know, yeah, no sorry Dutch, but you will never be assigned kitchen duty if I have anything to say about it. Jess's voice hollers out from the kitchen. How can he hear what we're saying? I ask. The conversation suddenly takes a sharp turn, and everybody starts talking in a different language, casting short glances my way from time to time. Yo, guys. I'm still here. I say, but they just ignore me and my question. Giving up. I wander back in the general direction that Jessie took. It doesn't take me long to smell the soft aromas of pasta cooking and tomato sauce permeating the air. I follow the scent to the kitchen, where Jessie is busy stirring a pot with a wooden spoon. He glances up and grins. Hope you like spaghetti, never had it. His eyes bug out of his head, treating the news as if I had just told him the president was assassinated. Seriously. That's too bad. He shrugs. First time for everything, right? You said that you hacked computers, so you might get a piece of the action on this one. First plate of spaghetti, first heinous crime committed. Second slide, but hey. Can't let you be experiencing everything for the first time at the same time. That would mean you were just born, and even then you wouldn't experience everything right away. His face turns red. Sorry, that just sort of came out. Jess's weirdness shows its true colors once again on the ever-changing landscape of life. Can you be straight about something with me? His eyes meet mine. What? I take a deep breath to give me time to gather my thoughts. How to ask? I take the plunge. Do we ever stop sliding permanently? His eyebrows shoot up. For real. There's a note of relief in his voice. Man. I thought you were going to ask about. No, we don't stop. Never. We just keep on going on and on and on. The others think that eventually we'll be able to, but I think that's just something to say so that you don't get all depressed right away. I mean, they claim that someday we will fill our quota and then. He breaks off, his eyes widening in horror. Fill our quota. What do you mean? He swallows nervously and turns back to the pot. Taking a sample out and tasting it. Food's almost ready. He mutters in the quiet that fills the kitchen. What did you mean? I repeat again. Fill our quota. That makes it sound like we were recruited or something. I break off as Jess's body goes rigid. I hit a nerve. The pieces fall in place. It doesn't just randomly start happening, does it? The sliding. Something starts it. What starts it? He takes a step back. I don't know, bullshit. You flinched. You know something. No, I don't, he snaps, slamming the spoon back in the pot. He turns away and braces himself on the counter. The silence descends, only to be broken a moment later. None of us know what triggers that first slide. Why it happens at that moment, and why it never happened before, or why it didn't happen later on in a person's life. My appearance blew their previous theory out of the water. They used to think that the slides happen on their own, and people get sucked into it after they pass a specific age. Before me, the youngest was in their later 20s when they first started, so the theory made sense. I started when I was 19. And now you're here, barely 17, sliding with the rest of us, and what does filling our quota is the latest theory. Kentucky and Amar cooked it up. They think that maybe, we are selected because of something we all have in common, probably our huge pressures, excepting you, of course, they think that there's someone out there who's responsible for us sliding. That someone might actually be pulling the strings. If that's that case, then that someone or group of people has developed some sort of catalyst that sets us off on our time-traveling escapades. Since Skip always has a file of what we have to steal, I thought we stole anything we could get our hands on to sell elsewhere. I butt in. At least. That's what you and Kentucky told me before. He turns to face me, shoving some hair out of his face. We lied, okay. That's what people do when trying to explain so many things at once. Baby steps. So when were you guys going to share that little tidbit of information? Or were you just gonna keep it from me forever? We were gonna tell you when you were ready. It's only been a week. You can't tell me that you've realized in that time that there's something screwy about the system as we explained it to you. Have you even thought about the linchpins in time, linchpins? What the heck are you talking about? His face goes slack for a second, his eyes blank, almost as if they were dead. He snaps out of it. Forget it. It's just some ludicrous idea. He mutters. Skip gets a file, and that's what we steal. Where does the file come from? I demand. Jesse shrugs as he crosses the kitchen to find plates. No one knows. It's just there, like your jacket and toque and stuff were by you when you came to. You never questioned the appearance of that too closely. But that stuff just supports the idea that there's someone out there pulling the strings, providing us with the stuff we need to complete a job, and you guys are all okay with that. Just getting dragged away from the only life you've known to commit crimes for something you've never even seen. No, we're not. But there's nothing we can do to stop it. It's not like we can march up to the troublemakers and provide an ultimatum. Then what's the point of the filling quota idea, just to give us a little bit of hope, okay? How fast do you think we'd all give up and kill ourselves if it became blatantly obvious that there's no way out but death? The idea is that we're only in for a certain amount of time, or until we steal a certain amount of objects or something. Then we get to go back to our timelines and stay there, yeah, because that'll work out real well. If they sucker us in, why would they bother with letting us out after a while? Well, excuse us for dreaming. Not all of us just bum around with no purpose in life. Most of us actually had things to live for before we got sucked in. Don't bother trying to fit in, you already stand out with your lack of interest in reality. He snaps, slamming the plates on the table. Obviously, you're too wrapped up in your own little selfish world to really think about stuff that's beyond your little bubble with any actual interest. I stare at him, slack-jawed. He glares right back, fire in his eyes as he dares me to speak, to argue with him. I turn and run, past the others, through the doors and outside, and keep on running, tears threatening to break my limited control over them. I keep on running, past statues and shrubs. Tall trees carefully arranged. Down one of the paths. I turn into a stretch of woods, my feet pounding the stone beneath me, sending shock wave after shock wave up my spine. I don't feel anything. Soon, my breathing becomes ragged, and my legs start to ache from the sudden dash. I collapse on a bench positioned beside the path, heaving deep breaths as I try to calm down. Ragged sobs escape my lips, and the tears I struggled to hold back flow freely, tracing little damp trails on my cheeks. How long has it been since I last cried? I drop my head between my knees, gasping for air through the choking tears as my dark hair hangs raggedly about my face. He's right. I've never really cared about anything or anyone. Sure, I was proud of my skill, but that was just because it was my accomplishment. I had faded into the walls of my room, avoiding Mom at all costs. All we ever got into was fights anyways. But had I ever really tried to connect with her? I can't remember a single time that me and Mom actually agreed on something after Dad left. I blamed her. She should have tried harder to keep us together. Dad had been my universe, and since he apparently loved Mom, she should have tried harder. I was angry at Dad too. He should have taken me with him, instead of leaving me behind. Jess is right. I am selfish. But he's wrong. There is one thing in the world that I would protect, one goal I have in life, to not let Willow cry. When she was born, Mom was still getting over her loss of Dad, and would lash out at random times, unaware of what she was doing. At the age of 4, I tried to protect my new sister from the dangers of the world, and would never let Mom be alone with her if I could. I didn't want Mom to scare her away like she did for Dad. In the middle of the night, when Willow started crying in her crib for the first time, I promised myself that I would protect her. She didn't need to lose everything like I had. That time when she was in 4th grade and I was in 8th, there was this kid in her class who picked on her. Will became really quiet at home, so I knew there was something going on. I snuck out of class once, saw what was happening, barged right in and kicked the kid's ass. I then threatened the entire class. Pick on Will and you'll get a lot worse than that. I said, pointing at the kid. Consider that a warning. Right then, the teacher walked in, and I got suspended for a few days. But Will perked up, so it was totally worth it. Jess is wrong. I do have a reason to get out of this mess. Just like the rest of them. Because if I don't come home, Willow will fade away again, but this time it will be all my fault. I can't let that happen. I have to come home, for her sake. What's the point of becoming strong if you can't even protect the ones you really care about? But filling some undefined amount of quota isn't going to cut it. Jessie said that some of them have been doing it for years. I need to get home now. I sit up and lean against the back of the bench, staring at the empty blue sky. I need to get home, for Will's sake. I can't just call it quits, or wait around because the others think that maybe if we behave we can go home eventually. I wipe my eyes with the back of my hand as I stand up. I start walking back. I'm not looking forward to seeing Jessie again, but it's the only way I can possibly get home. I need to get stronger, need to find out everything they know. And he seems to be the most open person to talk to. I need to learn in order to fight back. If there is someone out there, I plan on finding them and forcing them to send me home. And if they say no, then I'll just have to make them do it somehow. A twig snaps in the woods on my left. My head swivels to try to locate the source. Is Kentucky out? Pain flashes through my brain, and I sink to the ground as the black abyss that suddenly appears rushes up to greet me. Hiyori. Wind tugs at my hair as it whispers past my ear. I'm lying on a smooth, cool surface, my face numb from the absence of any real heat. I smell nothing, and hear nothing but the wind. I open my eyes, but the black that greets me is the same black I saw with my eyes closed. I sit up, squinting into the darkness as I wait for my eyes to adjust. I blink again and again, but the darkness stays just as unreadable as when I first opened my eyes. I start to stand up. Be still. I whirl around, trying to pinpoint the source of the echoing voice that fills the world. It's vaguely familiar, like a small case of déjà vu. Stay calm. You are safe. I know that voice. My eyes widen as I realize who it is. That woman who attacked me. My hand flies to my throat as I remember how the blood poured out from between my fingers as she pulled her sword away from the gash across my neck. I am not here to harm you. The voice echoes as if being bounced back and forth between two close mountains. What do you want? I call. To help you. Is that what before was too? Helping me. I demand. There's a pause. The past is past. We cannot change it. Even if we wished to. Before was necessary. Killing me was necessary. You appear to be in perfect health, but for the bruise forming above your parietal bone. As she mentions it, I become aware of a throbbing headache bouncing about my skull, the pain focused towards the back of my head. What happened? It appears that you were attacked. By what? I am uncertain. Wait a minute, you didn't bring me here, no, you simply appeared. How did I get here? You were physically forced into an unconscious state. Someone knocked me out, yes, so how did I get here? Did someone carry me and drop me off in some sort of black box? No. Your body lies where it fell. You are only here in spirit. So this is a dream? No. This is called Kankaku. Sleep of senses. A state of existence within which time has no real meaning. No matter how long you spend here, be it seconds or decades, an hour will be deducted from your conscious world. Except for today. I am unable to determine how much time will pass for this instance. This is the most vital interaction you will experience. Why am I here? What do you want? You are here to learn. I must teach you if you are to be able to survive life. Slicing my throat was teaching me how to survive. What has been done is done. It was necessary for me to reach the core of your soul, to understand you more. I need to know you, and you need to know me. We are one. What the heck are you talking about? In order to survive, you must be willing to learn. To control your presence, suppress it, you must learn how to control them. Failure is death. Your pressure will eventually overwhelm you and cause you to die from the strain. Those around you will also die, perhaps even before you. You have lived with the pressure your entire life, and as such, are accustomed to such circumstances. They have only recently been exposed to the large amount you as a single entity release. They are unable to even sense you when you allow your pressure to leak out in such large quantities. Like the Native Americans, their chances for survival after meeting you are very small. Jessie and everybody else could die, yes. And that is why you must train. Learn to contain your pressure, so that the balance can be maintained. Your pressure alone is a destructive force. Coupled with any one of those who are now close to you is guaranteeing disaster. But they could die, yes. The news takes a while to really sink in. My pressure. My black pressure, which blocks out the link up the others have otherwise easy access to and keeps me hidden from them, actually exists. I do have pressure. They just can't sense it. And it can kill them. What do? You are willing. The training is long and tedious. Learning to retain one's pressure is not a simple task, and will doubtless take a large amount of energy. I don't really have a choice, do I? I manage to choke out. If I don't, they die. What do? Pay attention, and I will tell you. Sit down. I do as she says, the movement slightly disorienting in the dark. Good. Now close your eyes. What's the point? I can't see a bloody thing with them open, just do it. Her voice, even though it hasn't been raised or the tone altered, leaves no room for argument. I sigh as I close my eyes. Okay, now what? Do not speak, but simply do as I instruct. Take calm, steady breaths. Focus only on the air flowing in and out of your lungs. Feel it as it rises and falls, close and far. Close and far. Feel the air enter your blood. Tracing a path along your body as it reaches your heart. Feel the air drift lightly into the vacuum of your soul. Feel it fill your soul. Cling to that soul that you can now feel. This soul is the core of your being, the nerve center of your being. This is where your pressure is. Feel how even now, despite your best efforts, some pressure continues to leave the soul, to trace its way out of your being to embrace you in a soft glow. Within you burns your pressure, burning like a fire. You now hold this flame. It is yours to hold. Take a deep breath, and now release that hold. I comply, although not wholeheartedly. What's this going to do? I snap at her. It feels like we've been at this for years, decades. If I could see myself, I'd probably have skin sagging from my arms, wrinkly and all that other fun stuff that comes from aging. Silence is all I get. She doesn't say anything, at least not right away. Instead, she softly begins to sing in a quiet, haunting voice. Sunlight dies by night's eternal blade. Heaven cries as immortals are slayed. Infinity becomes a blade to wield. Night returns to be the shield. Oceans of blood cry out for more. Sorrow tears the soul's final core. Enjoy life. Death reigns tonight. Night swallows the last of light. Justice defined by one's demand. Infinite blades form on command. Night endures, its fading cry. Her voice fades away, leaving me feeling strangely sad and hollow. The song made no sense, but the words are burned into my memory. Protect the innocent, lest they die. I finish for her. The line feels right, like it belongs there. Sitting in the dark. Cross-legged. I listen as the last echoes of my voice die off. You can feel it, can't you? The loss. Yes, whenever you wish to release your pressure, you must remember how you feel right now. This is the price you bear, the pain of loss. Channel that sorrow into your hand. I do as she says. Trying to visualize the pain I feel creeping from my chest up to my shoulder and down my arm, like some sort of snake. I allow the pain to dwell in my hand. Look. I open my eyes and stare in amazement at my now glowing hand. Even as I stare at it, the glow begins to fade away. I try to form it into a sphere above my hand, and am rewarded with a lumpy shape. Release the sorrow, let it flow from you and disappear into the black. I do as instructed, aiming my palm directly in front of me. I relax my grip on the ball of light, mentally shoving it away from me. The light flies off into the darkness. Quickly consumed by the swirling fog I can now see. Excellent work. Do not tell anyone of where you have been. You may go. Before I can ask any more questions, like how I'm supposed to leave. I feel a knife slice the inside of my forearm. The sharp pain shoots up my arm to take root in my core and skull, and I black out from the agony. In the dark. Coming to is nothing like blacking out. I know I'm awake, but opening my eyes feels like too tremendous of a feat. I can feel the pressure in me, the flame that she had described. I try to release it, but nothing happens, the same amount of pressure is there. I become aware of sounds, which slowly start to sort themselves out into things I could recognize. Jess's voice prominent among them. Shouldn't she be awake by now? She's been unconscious for hours. His voice ricochets off the walls of my skull. What was she even doing out there, anyways? Chase. It has to be. No one else can fit that many accents into one sentence. The thought makes my mouth twitch in a small smile. Oh, good. She's awake. Hey, Brandee, how you feeling? Chase asks. Slowly. I open my eyes, and blink rapidly as Chase's face comes into focus. He grins at me. Busted, I rub a hand against my face as I take in my surroundings. We're in a room, and I'm lying on a bed. That's about as much information as my brain can handle at the moment. I close my eyes again, trying to remember what had caused me to go into the Kankaku thing. Something knocked me out, was that right? Yeah, it was something like that, at least close enough to count. What happened? You blacked out. Someone clubbed you across the back of the head. Which brings me to my next problem, why were you out there anyways? I steal a glance at Jesse, who looks away. The sight gives me a little satisfaction. Good. He should feel guilty. The prick. I just needed some air. Chase's eyebrows shoot up, so I elaborate. Too much stuff at once. I mean, you guys have had collectively years to get used to this. I'm an essentials student. You can't just expect me to swallow all of this stuff with one chew. Chase nods, considering. Yeah, I guess that's true. But you had to run out then. We were almost ready to eat, and then Kentucky asks where's Brandee, so then we all had to get up and start looking for you. He breaks off as he glances up, towards a door. I'm guessing. Okay. I've got to go. He glances at Jesse and murmurs quietly, as if he doesn't want me to hear. Make sure you ask. Jesse nods and Chase ducks outside, leaving us alone. I pull myself up so that I'm sitting, and pull my legs so that they dangle over the edge of the bed. My head spins from the movement and I feel really lightheaded. If I lose a lot of blood in that Kankaku state thing, do I feel the effects here? My muscles ache from the strain of what? I know her name. I blink as I try to remember. The time she attacked me with the sword during a slide, she had said something. Her name. Hannah. No, that was way too cute. But her name did start with an H, that's for sure. How you feeling? Jesse asks, his hands shoved in his pockets. I shrug, and wince as the movement causes flashes of pain to shoot down my back. Sore. As if I had been at the park all yesterday at some tournament. And dizzy. That too, not so good if you're using a lot of short sentences to get your point across. Jesse sighs. Who clubbed me? The gardener. Thought you were some sort of intruder. He's the only guy on standard employ, and even then he never sees anybody else out here. Chase and the others are talking to him now, trying to find out some stuff, like how to get home. Jess's face pales, and I regret asking. I don't need to rub it in his face that we're all stuck here. He's probably just gotten used to the idea that he's going to be here the rest of his life, stuck traveling who knows where. And then here I come along, ripping open old wounds, and probably making a couple even deeper than they originally were. They probably are. Can I ask you something? Sure, I have no idea what he might be getting at. This might sound a little odd, but you've got to be honest with me. Do you remember anything from the period where you blacked out? Did anything happen? Did you have one of your weird experiences, like when you asked me about the sliding? My eyes widen as I realize what he's asking. But Hiyori said not to tell anyone. That was her name. Hiyori. It still sounds weird. He's talking about when she attacked me, slit my throat, and we came to in the middle of a road. She said not to tell them. Maybe I should listen to her, at least until we get a chance to talk again. No, I start slowly, trying to think up something. Can't remember anything. I was walking back, thought I heard something, and then wham, wake up here with a huge headache. His eyebrows crease. You sure? Because when we were looking for you, it was suddenly almost impossible to try to find you when I was looking for your customary black. And you're not leaking any more of it now, either. Weird. Maybe my pressure was a late starter or something. I suggest lamely. He doesn't look convinced. Maybe. We're not exactly experts on this whole thing still learning as we're going along. So, I guess that could be the case. It would explain some other things. I ask. He shrugs. I don't know. I wasn't actually paying attention to pressure on that frequency, he starts, air quoting. But Kentucky and Amar and Dutch all said that all of a sudden they could feel another person's pressure, and they're pretty sure it's you, because now they can sense you too. It's kind of a rainbow, all sorts of colors, the primary one always changing. It's kind of weird that you black out for a couple hours, and come to as one of us. Apparently, the gardener didn't even hit you too hard. I bite my lip. Trying to throw him off. Could have been that I blacked out because my body couldn't stand the strain of trans-dimensional forces at its current level and so kicked it up a notch. He thinks about it for a second, and I almost think that he saw through it until he suddenly laughs. You've been talking to Skip, haven't you? Nobody else can blow my mind that fast by stringing together a couple random words that are all in a language I understand. What? You think I can't make my own theories about stuff? I ask, teasingly, trying to get him even further away from the topic. No, it's just that Skip's a bit of a relative physicist and loves to prattle on and on about this stuff. I don't think even Chase can keep up with him, let alone Kentucky. Jesse sighs. Life was so much easier before you came. Show up, steal the stuff, slide. Repeat, repeat, repeat. The same old cycle day in day out. You threw all of that out of sync. I was more crabby this week than even when I started sliding, and I had a lot to be crabby about. What was your life like? I ask, steering us further away from dangerous waters. Before the whole sliding fiasco. I mean, fiasco, he muses. Nice way of putting it. I used to train drifters and other elite troops in combat, normally in small sessions. As a son of the Durkee's head, the position of instructor was inherent. I was being trained before I could walk, so I don't know what was all natural and what was ingrained into me by years of constant training. As the third son, I'm basically in exile with my older brother who passed on his claim to the leadership of our clan in favor of training students full-time. I was sent to live with him, and he took every opportunity to teach me. It got to the point where every time we saw each other, we dropped everything and immediately engaged in combat. No matter what was going on. Even at the most dignified at functions, so. I guess you didn't see much of your dad then, huh? I wonder out loud. He shrugs as he plops beside me on the bed. Not really. But that's the way it goes. The first in line gets all the attention, the rest of us actually have it pretty easy. Sure, Sora, my brother and future head of the clan, got to see a lot more of my dad, but he also was severely limited in what he was allowed to do. His sole career is to take over when my dad decides he's ready to step down. The rest of us kids don't see much of either of them, but we get to choose what we want to do. Me. I'm an instructor of drifters mainly, but that's not just because I have to. It's actually fun. Plus, I get to actually go on missions, since it's not just all theoretical stuff I teach. I teach practical applications of everything, so I get to go outside the city a lot more often than even Hay, the brother I used to live with. No, I don't get to see much of my dad, but I'm a lot more free than most others. I can go wherever I want without a permit as a son of the head. Because on the off chance that Sora is for some reason assassinated or at death's door, or incapacitated in any way. I assume the responsibilities of being the head of the house, so people still have to be respectful to me, even if I don't need to be on my best behavior. Sounds crazy. He laughs. Yeah, but that's my life. Or was. In a way, this whole sliding fiasco, as you called it, it actually opened my eyes. I used to think that everywhere there was a class system. This whole choosing your own career idea was completely new to me. I think I might have thrown Dutch for a couple loops and roller coaster rides with the questions I asked him. I'm pretty sure you'll be just as lost when you get to see one of my dimensions. Kentucky saunters into the room, flashing me a grin with her filed teeth. How you doing? It's weird, all of a sudden. I can sense exactly where you are, but still can't get in your head through the link. How'd you manage that? I shrug, avoiding eye contact. I dunno. Your guess is as good as mine, probably better. Something flutters in the corner of my vision and I turn my head slightly to stare in amazement at the red motes swirling around Kentucky. Hiyori explained that motes are what make up a person's pressure. The more motes a person has near them, the stronger they are. But I can't see my own, same with the rest of the guys. I guess. Your pressure's red. I blurt out without thinking. Kentucky grins. Yep. Red like blood. That's me. That's why my ability is Chimamire no Butsu, bloodied boots. She points at her boots. These are my kinetics. With them, I can kill anyone with my kicks, or knock you out if I'm feeling gracious. They make her, already some ninja skills, 10 times faster. You'd never see it coming if she didn't want you to. Jesse cuts in. Yeah, well at least mine's combat-oriented. Remind us again why you ended up with climate change. Somebody has to be responsible for global warming. He shrugs. I just figured I'd take the rap for it, instead of the government, yeah, because you want to protect their precious areas 51 and up from the public. Did they brainwash you or something to make you forget what happened when they caught you? The whole, gah. He's an alien invader. We must study them, since they've no doubt been abducting our own in preparation of this attack problem we had when you first discovered your power. Kentucky tilts her head to shoot me a glare.